Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Builds by Bailey. Today is part 2 of how to bumper repair. So as you can see in the background, I do have some more body work to do, but I'm not going to bore you guys with that. You saw enough of it in the last video. So in the meantime, if you haven't seen the last video, go ahead and check that out right here at the top. But I'm gonna go ahead and finish the body work up on this real quick, and then we'll go ahead and we'll disassemble it and prep it for primer. Okay, I have it all body worked out. The whole bottom is set and looks really good. This bumper was pretty trashed, if you remember in the last video, on the bottom. So I've got all of the big scratches and stuff out of that. I've also decided that since this bumper had a whole bunch of rock chips in it, and even there's a bunch of rock chips you can see, and even all this black stuff, I'm going to try and get all of that out too. And I'm actually going to paint and prime the whole entire bumper, including the black pieces. And then at the very end, after I've painted it silver, I'm going to mask off these sections and paint them flat black. So we're going to go ahead and finish scuffing up inside all of these places, because there's literally rock chips all over this thing. I even fixed where the license plate little dimples were in it. I smoothed those out. So this bumper is going to get primed twice. So I'm going to prime it either tonight or tomorrow. Should be in this video, but we're going to prime it once, and I'm going to block it with 180 grit sandpaper, and then we're going to prime it again, so that way we get all of those little rock chips and stuff out, because there's just too many of them. So we're going to scuff it up really good, take the bumper apart. The rest of the way, as you can tell, I've already taken the grill out so I could get those pieces sanded and blocked out. So like I said, we'll sand it real quick, and then we'll take it apart. Okay, as you just saw, I went ahead and I scuffed up all of it except for like the edges right here where they go together. I'll do that after I take it apart. I also didn't get like up in here because I don't want this girl here to get scuffed. So I also went back over this with the 180, and then I also grabbed a red Scotch-Brite pad and got down in the nooks and crannies where I couldn't really get. So that's all scuffed on both sides, so they're ready for primer. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to flip this bumper over, take the lip off, take the grill out, and then we'll scuff those last few edges and stuff that need to be done, and then it should be ready for primer. Okay, on this bumper, you'll notice all these little blue clips that are inside. We have to take those off in order to get the front lip off. There's also a few, what looks like 10 or 12 millimeter bolts that come through on the bottom, along with some plastic push clips all the way around the bottom side of it. So there's probably about 20 or so little fasteners that hold that lip on. We'll take those off, and then for the front grille, there's just a few little tabs that you have to push out of the way, and that piece will just slide right out of it. The middle grill, or the top one, it had 2 Phillips screws and then the little plastic clips that held it on. So I'm gonna really quickly take all these fasteners loose, and then we'll take that bottom lip off. Okay, as you saw, I got the front lip off of it. Pretty dirty along this edge, but it's just really dirt. So I think I can just Scotch-Brite the bottom half of it. I really don't have to prime down into this area at all. I'm just going to go, into it a little bit. So I'm going to go ahead, like I said, scuff it up real good with a red Scotch-Brite. I may even scuff it up and wash it at the same time. So, it's nice and clean. Get all that dirt and stuff off of it. I do want to prime up in here though, because that is exposed. You can see it. And then also on the lip, we're going to scuff this section up in here real good and get it ready for primer. There was this welt stuff that went along the edge here. I went ahead and pulled that off. I'm going to have to see if I can find out if Toyota still sells that or not, because I think it's going to be difficult to put it back on. Plus it's kind of dirty, so it may not look good next to the new fresh paint. I have all the edges cleaned up on the lip, so it's all scuffed up on the inside. All I have to do is I'm going to wash these with a Scotch-Brite pad, go over the whole entire thing on both of these. I even went back with 180 on this part and scuffed the line out of it. Like I said, Scotch-Brite pad, the whole entire pieces inside and out, get all the loose dirt and all that stuff off of them, and then they'll be ready to prime tomorrow morning. So I'm going to go to bed real quick. Next shot you'll see will be me pulling these things out and getting them ready to wash. Okay, so the next morning we're going to go ahead and take these pieces outside and we're going to go ahead and wash them. I'm going to use red Scotch-Brite and scuff all the dirt and stuff off of the inside and the outsides of the pieces to get all the dirt and stuff off of it as best as possible. Then we're going to let it dry, come back, and spray primer on all of it. Okay, now I have them all rinsed off. You saw me scrub them down with a Scotch-Brite pad. I did inside and out on both pieces, so now they're pretty clean. I'm gonna let them sit and dry for a couple of hours. I gotta run some errands, come back, and then we'll shoot some primer on them. Okay, so now that all those pieces are washed off and sanded with the Scotch-Brite and the water, got all the dirt off of them, they're in the garage, and now I'm getting ready to mix up some primer. They've been drying for about 2 hours, so all of the water that could have gotten into the filler has had a chance to evaporate. This is putty, and putty you can actually wet sand. At least this specific brand you can. so I wasn't worried about the water getting into that and then having problems later. So at this time, like I said, we're going to go ahead, we're going to rinse out our gun with some thinner, make sure that it's nice and clean, and mix up some primer, and then we'll be ready to shoot. Okay, now we have our primer mixed up. It mixes 4-to-1. This particular primer is a high solids urethane, but to me it just kind of seems like a medium solids. It's kind of runny. So we're going to put a whole bunch of light coats on to try and fill in all of those little craters and rock chips and stuff that are in the bumpers. We're also going to try and where the plastic has kind of come back through some of the filler, we're also going to try and mat some of that down with primer. This primer, the particular coat we're putting on this time, is kind of going to be like a liquid Bondo for you, if you will. So we're going to go over the whole entire thing to try and fill in any of the low spots. Then we're going to block it down and then prime it again to get the finished coat of the primer on there. So that way we didn't have to put filler over the entire bumper and have all that plastic hair and stuff sticking up. So I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to start spraying. Make sure you use your respirator because this stuff stinks and it could probably kill you. So make sure that you use your respirator. So I put 4 heavy coats of primer on. As you can see, everything is encased in primer. Tried to get all the little rock chips and stuff that were on it hidden. All the little plastic pieces, the little hair and stuff, like there was some up in here. You can just barely see where it was at. Got all that stuff matted down and encased in primer. So 4 fairly heavy coats on both pieces, the front bumper and on the front lip. All of that is all primed up. So now we're going to put guide coat on it real quick, which is just simply black spray paint. We're going to hold it about 2 feet away and just mist the black on. And then I'm actually going on a trip for a week, and when I come back, we'll block all of this out. So now you can see the guide coat on it. Looks like a bunch of little black specks. Reason I use that, especially for this stage, is so when I block it with a 180 grit sandpaper, I'll know where I have and haven't been. I mean, you're probably thinking that you'll be able to see the scratches and stuff. It just makes it easier to make sure that I've gotten all the surfaces done and sanded and all that stuff. So that's going to do it for this episode of Builds by Bailey. We got the bumper and primer for its first round of primer. All of those little plastic fuzzy hairs and stuff are matted down in the primer. All the deep scratches and all that stuff is encased as well. So we're going to let that sit for a good week while I'm on my trip, and when I come back, we'll get it all blocked out. So once again, I want to thank you guys for watching the videos. If you have any questions, don't forget to comment down below. Watch the previous video if you haven't already so you can see how to get to this step. And like I said, thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share with your friends.